Yo, what up? It's AaroniMoses, and this video is about speaking your intentions into your life, shaping your universe, shaping what you are experiencing with the tongue. Now, of course, I'm going to be inviting Queen Nefertiti, Mist of In2ition Speaks into this broadcast. I don't know exactly what happened last time I had an option to. Here we go. I think it
It was making me turn my phone around, using a different phone this time. Sorry about that.
That's cool. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Awesome.
Can everybody hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay,
I don't know where that
so
went though now.
hmm, this phone, I'm using a different device too, so I don't know. It didn't give me that option last time. Okay, so speaking things into fruition. How important is this in magic, in rituals and spells? How 1 to 10, how important do you think this is?
Um, are you asking me how important it is in magic to speak
Yeah.
things into it? Into okay. Well, of course, since magic is primarily intention. And I just had this conversation with someone the other day because we were talking about having to use certain tools to do magic. And I was explaining that the tools a lot of times were really for you to ground yourself and to, bring that essence into it. But really, if you don't have the tools to do certain magic things, you can do it just with your intention, just with your energy. A lot of things you can. Um, I know that there's going to be some, difference of opinion with that, but really, magic mostly is, intention. How much intention you put into that. You can have all the tools you want and, all the fancy get up and stuff. If you're not putting the amount of attention into it, like that's why I say a lot of times I don't like to write other people's spells because if they're concentrating more on let me say this word for word and that kind of thing, it's going to be less powerful because they're focusing a lot more of their intention on getting it right, reading the words right and that kind of stuff. So I tend to help people write their own so they can use their own intention and they're comfortable with the verbiage. They may not be so comfortable with the verbiage I put out there, and they're going to be spending too much on, am I doing this right? Am I doing it in order? And they're going to
Hmm.
take a lot of the attention away from, what they're actually asking for. So,
I get that a lot as well. Okay, so as far as the basic foundations of magic, raising the energy, programming programming it and directing it, what do you think speech affects the most? Um what do you think the word affects one of those three foundations the most?
like what?
Yeah. Okay, so
There you
ra-
go.
raising the energy, programming it and directing it. What is the most important I don't know why it keeps doing
You look like a Japanese movie, like literally. I'm like hearing your voice and then your lips are going like after it. Is it me
I
too?
don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going
His
on.
connection is kind of.
Okay, so do you have the question? Did you hear what I asked you?
I didn't get anything. You keep freezing on me.
Oh man. Okay. So what I asked you was raising the energy, programming it, and directing it. What what is going to be affected by speaking the most?
What is going to be affected by speaking the most?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing with speech. I know this whole thing is about speaking things into intention,
Mm,
but there's a lot of different. I think every the most important thing is to understand your energy. Okay. For example, we discovered about my sister that this is kind of a funny story, she raises her energy the most by humor. Okay,
mm,
so when she was writing her spell, I said, kind of just write it. We were doing a return to sender spell, and because she had somebody coming after her with some black magic, and like I said, I encourage people to write their own stuff. So I said, just put into words what words would be the most comfortable to put your intention out there in the most powerful way. And she came up with, I want you to stop doing the voodoo that you do. Okay. And it sounded so
mm,
silly, so funny, but it worked so effectively and it was way powerful because, for one, her energy is raised by humor. And because she used what raises her energy naturally, and she put that humorous spin on it, and she was comfortable with the words, and the intentions were very packed in that. It was probably one of the most powerful spells that I ended up doing with someone, because she, in those few couple of words, she put so much energy in it and so much intention into it naturally that it was just amazingly powerful. So,
mm,
it's really more about understanding, because everybody's energy is different. Everybody invokes their energy differently. And it's really more about knowing what, like for me, it's nature. I'm very connected to wind. I'm very connected to the moon cycles, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what raises my energy. And when I do, um, spells in certain circumstances, certain conditions that raise my energy, like when I was at the beach, I'm very connected to the ocean. I love the ocean. It puts me in a really good place. I did some of the most powerful things at the beach because I couldn't have been more connected to what raises my energy. So that was like, sticking my finger in a light socket and doing a spell with it. It was like crazy because that's what, some people are very connected to the forest. If that's where you feel the most energetic, you want to try to do it, do things like that. And really, as far as I'm concerned, and everybody has different opinions, intention. It's kind of that, and this is a silly example of the different ways words are going to cause a different vibration. I can sit there and say to you, you are a jerk. or I can say to you, you're a jerk. Okay? I can say to you, have a good day, or I could say, have a good day. Okay? So it's the same words, but if you notice, the intention's different. Okay? If I'm coming at you with, have a good day, that's a different intention than, I hope you have a good day. Okay? Because my intention for each, for the same sentence is totally different. One's going to cause a good vibration, one's going to cause a bad vibration. It's the same thing with anything when it comes to that.
So these are more, you view them as more, they're more tools.
Yeah,
Tools.
just like anything else. Because it's more, and that's why the law of attraction is the same way. Because the law of attraction, it's, if you don't believe what you're saying, that's another thing. And that's why I really feel that that's why magic is more powerful. Because people that are in the lifestyle of magic, what is the first thing you think of magic? I believe. Okay? It's all about I believe. I think that they're in a different mindset sometimes because they're already programmed to believe in magic. Okay? It's like you do believe or you don't believe. So the ones that are the most connected is that they believe what they're doing. So when they put an intention out there, no matter how far-fetched it may sound, all they have to do is know that they believe in it. You can say something, you can say, I want this. If you don't believe you're going to get it, you're probably not. You have to have that belief system. I always use this example for a lot of people. I know you do money spells a lot, and this is an example I use a lot of times. If you don't have money and you're focusing on the lack of not having money, okay, it's very hard for you to go from I have no money to $1 million, okay? Because you can put all the intention you want into that, but you really believe that someone's going to come to your door tomorrow and hand you $1 million. Probably not, okay? But if you sit there and say, oh, I'm going to find $20 on the street as I'm walking down the street, that's something more that you can say that you believe. You've seen it happen to other people. Might have had it happen. So it's almost like if I say that, I believe that. Okay, I believe that without a doubt. So more than likely, that's going to manifest for me. And it's the same with magic. If you're asking for, to turn your cousin into a frog, and you don't believe that a human can transform into a frog, what's the likeliness of it happening?
Yeah. I tell a lot of people that to not blatantly lie to themselves. If you're gonna try to speak something, at least start small. Like if you
Right.
say if you're trying to affirm I love myself and you don't really feel that, you can say I love to love myself because the moments that you feel that, you can connect with that again.
Now, I'm going to touch on that because this is very interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. Because in that kind of situation, I do believe faking it, and I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
If you are going to like a meeting with a bunch of people and you're kind of nervous, if you walk into that meeting nervous, people are going to respond to you in a certain way. Okay? If you pretend you're confident and you walk into the same meeting, people are going to, again, treat you in a certain way. If they treat you in a way where they see you as confident, what is that going to do? It's going to give you confidence. So in turn, by faking it, you're entering into a situation where people are going to react to you having confidence, which is in turn going to give you confidence. Where if you would walk into there not, not faking it. They're going to treat you like an unconfident person. Catch 22, and it's a very thin line. Um, different situations, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, they're adding to they're gonna add to it or they're gonna take away to whatever, wherever you want to be
Right.
mentally. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
So one technique that I like to use that I discovered a couple years ago is I like to write stories and make the main character somebody
Mm.
who I pretty much put the main character with my energy signature, but it might be a different name. They might even have a different gender. But I make all these good things happen, whatever I want to happen to my life. I make all these good things happen to the main character. And a lot of the time, it might even take a full year, but they all eventually happen. Especially when I tell people about the story, I might not tell them the whole story. But that's one way that I use. What are some of your personal traits that you use?
It's funny you should ask that. Actually, great question. And I was just having this discussion with one of my clients the other day too. Um, I really like that technique, and I do use it. I put a little bit of a spin on it, and I used Belle from Beauty and the Beast as an example. This is the best example I can come, away with. But she lived in a small town. She wasn't happy there. So what did she do? She buried herself in books. Then she would go out into the forest and sing and pretend she was like a princess and she lived in a castle and she did all this imaginary stuff. Okay, really just pretending she was there, feeling in the moment. And that's how she manifested her situation, if you think about it. If she wasn't using her imagination the way she was, she would be stuck in that town, living that life in that town and not really, it wouldn't have opened up the whole situation for her as far as I'm concerned. That's kind of like a weird way to look at it, but it's kind of simple for people that don't really get the whole manifestation of imagining and visioning yourself in a different situation. Because what happens is your reality, if you focus on your reality right now, you're just going to create more of your reality. Because if you're sitting there saying, oh, this is my reality, the universe is going to say, okay, well, here you go. Here's some more of it. But if you sit there and take yourself out of that reality and envision and really believe, it's almost like, and that's why they say children are the best with manifesting. Why? They don't have blocks. If a kid is going out and he's, pretending he's, something, a lot of times they manifest stuff. For example, we're traveling all over the country. Me and my twin are together and we're doing our life purpose. We're going from state to state and everything. And my son's name is Aaron. So for the first state we went to, he was like, I want to go mini golfing. And we're like, Aaron, we can't do that right now. We have things we have to do. The mini golf place is like an hour away. We can't do it. So
Mm.
I was talking to him about teaching him how to manifest. The next state we went to, we ended up around the block from a mini golf place. And I'm sitting there saying, because he was just sitting there saying the only thing he wanted, the only thing he cared about, he didn't care about traveling, he didn't care about meeting people. Choice, it's like he could have walked there by himself. That's how close it was. So it's like, because why is it that he manifested that so easily? He didn't have any resistance. He didn't sit there and say, well, not every town has a mini golf place, and what's the likeliness of us actually being by a mini golf place? So he didn't have all that resistance. All he had in his mind with a desire was, I want a mini golf. And he didn't have resistance. As we grow and we go through life experience, we pick up a lot of beliefs, um, experiences you see other people go through. You may go through something. And because you pick up those beliefs, they become your resistance. I always tell people, okay, if you feel this way, why is it you feel like that? What is it that you know that this can't happen? And where did you learn it? I have another great story about my daughter. My daughter's ears must ring every time I tell this story because um, I was a single mom when I had her. And I struggled because I got pregnant before I went to college. And it was very rough for me. I still went to college, you know, and everything. But it was very rough for me. So I made sure since the age of 4, my daughter knew in order to be successful, you need to go to college. Then you need to find the person that you're going to marry. And then you have a child. Great intention. I wanted my daughter to have a better life than me. But what I did was I formed in her a limiting belief that she had to go to college and get an education to be successful. So she grew up she's beautiful. She's naturally talented. She's a singer. She's creative. She's got great work ethic, all these wonderful things. The minute she got out of high school, she got handed a job where very soon after she advanced very quickly. She got her own car. She got her own apartment. She just skyrocketed with her success. The only limiting belief she has from going any further is the fact that she didn't go to college. Okay, so I had to tell her, okay, so what makes you think that you have to go to college to be successful? And she was like, that's just how it is. You have to go to college and you have to get a degree to be successful. And I told her the story. I said, the reason you believe that was because from a young age, I brainwashed you in a sense. Now, it wasn't, you know, in a negative way, and it wasn't meant to be harmful, you know. And at that time when I was telling her things, maybe you did need a college degree to be successful. That was way before the internet opened up and you had different, you know, possibilities of things. But since things changed and you can be successful by sending out the right video or something, that changed. But her belief didn't, because it was ingrained in her. So she has gone her whole life believing she needs to go to college and get an education. So it's limiting her. It really is. Because she believes that, and until she really understands fully and believes that, if I would have told her the only thing you need to make you successful is to eat an ice cream every day, she would have grown up believing I just have to eat ice cream and I'm going to be successful. Okay, because it's what she believes, and because, you know, I use that a lot too, with what was I going to say? All right. Well, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. I was going to say something else. I forgot.
Well, I wanted to speak on the most simple. It's not some people, for some people, of course. Again, the most simple form of speaking what you want into your life. Trigger words. I like to use one word spells. I'll sit and I'll meditate on the word relax. And when I say relax to somebody, if they have a real block against it, it's gonna make them twice as angry, or they'll just look at me like, "What was that? You did something." I'm like, "I didn't say anything, relax." And they just, or I'll say money when I feel like I'm gonna get some money, or if I see something and I can turn it into an opportunity, and it works really well for me. How do you feel about that? Trigger word.
My biggest thing with manifesting or using intention is be very careful that you know what you're actually asking for. This is where a lot of people mess up. Me and my twin are both very powerful manifestors. Unfortunately, we learned the hard way to be specific. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you're not specific, you're more than likely going to manifest something if you put intention into it, but it may not come to you exactly the way you're trying to manifest it. For example, we were in the store one time and we were in the cereal aisle and he was going to buy some cereal and he's like, "Oh, but I don't have any milk at home, so, cereal without milk is like having a cigarette with no lighter." Okay. And we joked about it and whatever. So the next day he walked to the store and to buy a pack of cigarettes and he reached in his pocket and he goes, "I don't have a lighter." So I'm like, that's so funny. I think you manifested that. That's hilarious, right? So then I walked the next day to the store to get a pack of cigarettes and guess who didn't have a lighter? Okay. So we accidentally manifested that because there was no resistance there. Okay. We were in the store, we were joking about it. It was no big thing, and it was like, and we manifested that something neither one of us really wanted, but it was kind of funny. And that was the one thing that I think skyrocketed us into, oh, it's kind of just a casual, it's a casual what if, you know? It's like a what if. Like when you say something casual, and this is how I usually tell people to practice. I will tell someone to say something very casual that they don't really, not that they think it's gonna happen or it's not gonna happen, but kind of like, it would be cool if, or it would be nice if. And if you're putting that desire with those simple words, it would be nice if this happened. It would be nice if that happened. And then put your desire with those words, you probably have a pretty good chance of manifesting it because you're not coming up with the other side of that stick where you're sitting there saying, "Oh, well, but if I really get that, then it may not happen because of this." If you're just kind of throwing it out there casually, like, "Oh, it would be nice if this happened," you're kind of saying it, you're letting it go, and you're forgetting about it. And that's the key. When you let it go, the universe cannot work on what you want until you let it go. And I always use this analogy. It's a kind of funny analogy, but I associate it to a child. If anybody has kids, okay, and a kid wants something, and they come up to you and they're like, "Mommy, can I have some candy?" "Not right now." "Mommy, can I have some candy?" "Not right now." What do you eventually end up doing? You tune that out. Okay? So I associate some people to nagging children when it comes to stop nagging the universe is one of my favorite sayings. Like, because if you're not asking for what you want and then allowing the universe to do what they're going to do by letting it go, you're kind of like that nagging child that's sitting there saying, "But I want this, but I want this. Can I have this? When am I going to get it? When am I going to have it?" And, just like a parent, you're going to get tuned out. So it's really about putting the intention in, making sure that there's nothing that you have a negative, spin to. If you do, you want to clear that out. But then just letting it go and letting the universe do its work. And I've been in several situations where until I did what I was supposed to do, it was almost instantaneous. If I have to send a text to somebody before I get something I'm supposed to receive in, and maybe my ego's saying, "Well, I don't want to text that person," or "I don't want to do what I'm, this because I don't feel like I should have to do this," or whatever. Usually the minute I do what I know I'm supposed to be doing, boom, manifestation. Another example I like to use is, okay, do you ever see that really skinny person that walks around and says, I can eat whatever I want and I don't gain any weight. Okay?
Yep.
That person walks around like this. Okay? Then you have that overweight person that says, if I look at that, I'm going to gain 5 pounds just looking at it. They have a hard time losing weight. Why? Because you are, whether you believe it or not, and this is the hardest block to get away from for a lot of people. Because a lot of people will say things in jest, joking around, or not being quote unquote serious about it. And they don't realize that you're still putting that intention out there. So even if you're saying something in jest, like, I'm stupid, okay, just joking around or just being light about it, you know, you're putting those words and those intentions into the universe.
Right. You're blessing your food or you're cursing your food. So, like
Yeah.
metaphorically and physically. So that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Like one thing that I like that you said is that you have the intention and then you do what you have to do. One thing that I liked, well, two things. I either when I have an affirmation or something that I want to speak, I either try to feel little to no emotion, because then I have more energy to repeat it, and then I don't have to think about it. Or I use my face. I either smile when I say what I want, or if I'm doing something with when I'm doing something more dark or some kind of revenge spell for one of the clients, I might frown. But the thing about that is I can't repeat it as much because I have less energy. When I smile, of course, I have all this serotonin, all these chemicals going through me. And when I'm finished, I might want to watch some groceries, be very positive. I interact with people way differently. And I'm not thinking about what I just did. And then all the positivity leaves that I'm spreading around the room, you know, it makes all the that I'm not thinking.
Yeah, and you know, I know we're all adults here, and this isn't really, not that I want to get, you know, cross any boundaries here with conversation, but some of the most powerful energy is sex energy, okay? And
Definitely.
if you're if you're in a high arousal stage, that's some of the best energy to do magic with or to do intention with. That and anger. But actually sex energy is one of the most, I would say it's the most powerful to use. That's why a lot of people that do manifestation or magic or whatever, they stay abstinent because they're trying to build that sexual tension and to increase their energy. Um, and then reshift it to use that energy to do something else. I also found I have to be very careful when I am angry, and that was one of the things that got me on more of a path of um, becoming aligned and being happy with myself and that kind of thing. Because when I was younger, it was very easy for me to manifest stuff out of anger, and that's not always great, you know, because you can end up in that mind frame, manifesting stuff that you do not want because you're saying it out of anger. So, and it's really harder to channel angry energy because you're not in the right mind frame to do that.
Right.
So, even though that's a powerful energy, it's harder to channel in a good way, you know, to use for anything positive, unless you're doing something dark, then it's great. You know, if you're doing something dark and you're angry, you know, like when you're making war water or something like that, you want to be angry at that time because you want to put that energy of your anger and your, you know, whatever into war water, because war water is for, you know, protection against entities that are lower entities and stuff like that. So if you're doing that or making witch's salt, you know, witch's salt for me, it's for protection, but you have to be careful when you're making stuff like that, what your intended use for it's for. So if I'm making something like that, I have to be careful. Okay, do I want protection against something? Or a spell that was a little more, you know wasn't a, oh, I want this person to heal or be happy. I want to use something that's darker to make that particular item. If I'm trying to protect my home and bring peace and love into it, I don't want to use ashes from a spell that was angry. So, when it comes to stuff like that, and again, that's all intention, those are just tools, but what you create with that intention now becomes a tool. And you have to be careful that the things you're creating are being used for the right things. You know.
That was, we touched on everything. I had a couple more questions. So as far as you pretty much answered this, songs, rhythm, rhyming, how does that work for you?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Rhythm, and rhyming, how does that work for you? And would you recommend it?
Songs?
Yeah, writing
Like
a
rhyming, like
song.
when you're doing a spell, or is that what
Mhm.
you're talking about?
Yes.
Music for me is very powerful. When I get my downloads, my intuitive downloads, and any messages, mediumship kind of things, a lot of times it comes to me in song. Okay? I could know a song and listen to a song a million times, know every word, or so I think. If I am being led to listen to a song due to a download that I'm getting, that song's going to sound totally different to me. Absolutely, totally different. I'm going to hear words in there that I never knew were in there. I'm going to hear lyrics. I'm going to hear whatever. So, music's very powerful to me. So, what I feel when it comes to magic, when you're doing the rhyming and stuff, really, if you think about it, all an incantation is, or anything like that, is it's almost to make it sound very simple, it's to make it fun. Because what you're doing with those things is you're invoking in yourself a vibration that is high enough to support the energy that you're using. Okay. So my personal opinion with that, and like I said, everybody's going to disagree or agree, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But for me, I think it's the mood it gets me into. The more I rhyme, the nicer it sounds, the more pleasing it is to my ear, the more you can, if you're working with a group, and the more you can get other people engaged. A lot of times chants and stuff like that are used when you're, in ritualistic settings, to where you have 3 or 4 or 5 different people there, and what is the one thing that is going to bring all those people together and kind of on the same vibration and energy pull? When you bring music into something, that music joins people no matter what. If you're in a bad mood and we go to a concert, when we're listening to that music and we're stepping away from what is putting us in a certain mood, in that moment when a song is playing that is your favorite and that is my favorite, or that is upbeat, what happens automatically? For that moment, you kind of forget everything you were going through. You get out of that vibration because that music brings you to a place that you're in a totally different vibration, a totally different, place. So I really think for me specifically, that is what the chants and the music is for. um, is to raise your vibration to a place, that you can take advantage of that energy, especially when you're doing stuff with a group of people, because you don't want that fluctuation of energy. Of course, everybody's not going to have the same energy, and everybody's not energy isn't going to be as powerful as another person's, but you want to kind of have that level energy if you're all joining together to join your energy to push it out into doing something together. Like if me and you were to get together and do a spell together, which I really want, I can't wait to do. I was really upset that we didn't make it to you guys when we were out, and it is definitely one of the things that that's one of my goals is to make it out and come
And
see
we
you
cleaned up
guys.
and everything. We bought groceries. I
What?
said we cleaned up, bought groceries, had it smelling good. Oh,
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It just kind of went sideways. You can blame Ron for that. but if we're together and we're doing something, we're going to want to be kind of, I mean, our energy plays well with each other, I think,
mhm.
generally. But when you're focusing on something and you're trying to bring it to a certain level to be able to join that together and push it out, you want to find something, whether we do an incantation together and we're both getting into that meditative, because an incantation really is getting you into a meditative space. Because what are you doing? You're taking words and you're repeating them as you're getting yourself into a meditative state. So, what does getting yourself into a meditative state do? It levels out your energy, it brings it to a place where you can use that energy. So if we agree on an incantation and we're both saying the same thing and we're both concentrated in that meditative state, what's that doing? It's bringing our energy together. So I really feel like that, if whether it comes with songs or just an incantation, whatever, that's what the purpose of it's for, in my opinion. There may be a bigger, better, you know, more witchy explanation for it, but
Well, I mean, when people ask me about how to empower their spells or their affirmations, I tell them to visualize them on a stage in front of as many people as they can visualize and see that these are men and women of all different
all
races and
naked.
nationalities. I'm just, and just visualize you leading them in affirmation. Visualize you leading them, whatever they're saying, make them
Mhm.
say it after you or with you, because I I really view this as programming people's earth or the different sides of your soul or the different parts of your brain, and that helps a lot. Even though sometimes it's better for me to just say it like on the end, just start stage. This is my last question. Do you think that it's better to try to program yourself or program the universe? Putting your intentions into the universe or keeping them inside of you?
I'm sorry, you're really low all of a sudden. I didn't get that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, do you think it's
You're fine.
better for a person to try to program themselves or program the universe? Because one, I either use my throat chakra to speak my affirmations and intentions into my root chakra, or I build a lot of energy in my heart or somewhere, and then I just see the sound waves or whatever light going into the universe and like try to feel that it's changing around you. What do you think would be better?
Well, I feel that it depends on what energy you're in. I think it's very dependent. And one thing I brag about you all the time, and I was just talking to my twin about this last night, is how familiar you are with what energy is where, how it's affecting each house. I used to have a lot more knowledge about that, but I've kind of gotten rusty. So, but knowing like what energy is being used, I work a lot with the moon. Okay, so I know at all times what phase of the moon we're in. Are we in the waxing moon? Are we in the waning moon? Is it a full moon? Is it a new moon? Because, I'm going to use that energy when it's available. But if that energy isn't available, then I have to, project it more. So, if I'm doing a spell that I'm trying to bring something towards me and it's a waning moon, does that mean I just don't do that spell at that time? Do I wait for the waxing moon? Some people do. But if we are in a waxing moon, I'm not going to expel my energy when that energy is right there. You have the polarity of the moon drawing things magnetic. I'm going to use the moon energy, and that's the simplest way I can say it. It goes a lot deeper than that, and I think your knowledge of how energy works and how energy is affected by planetary alignment and the positioning of the planets is very powerful. That's why I have a lot of faith in the work you do, because you are so in tune with, oh, well, this is, this energy is pulling from this right now. This is making, you know, this happen in this house. That's important. In fact, we were talking about that last night, and we really want to get a lot deeper into it, me and my twin, because, like I said, we're pretty powerful manifestors. And we were talking about, if we just knew, like it was like Pinky in the Brain, we're Twinkie in the Flame. Now, that's a whole big joke that's on my page if you want to see it. But we used to always joke around, what do we want to do today? We want to take what we do every day, take over the world, And it's kind of funny because we are both very powerful when it comes to that. And we were sitting there talking last night about, like, oh, but you know how we do this? Can you imagine if we knew this? How much better it could be if we knew how to use this power or that power, And that's how I feel about knowing the planetary alignments and that kind of stuff, because is this are we in a place of energy where is combative? That would be a great time to do a spell that is, that you're like a protection spell or something that you're doing towards somebody, because if they're already in that combative energy, that's just going to make the spell so much more powerful. If you're dealing with someone that that their sign is in a very loving, it's being affected very lovingly, and it's given them kind of like a peaceful feeling or a loving feeling, you might say, okay, well, because this is in their sign, I'm going to do a love, something to do with love, because it's going to push it along. It's going to help it along. It's absolutely possible to do those spells in different energies, but use what you're given. If you don't have to use your own energy, don't. And one of the most powerful things that I've heard lately when it comes to, using, and this is more like a self-love thing, but it's about, filling your cup completely. Okay? If your cup is almost full and you try to love someone out of that cup, you're drawing from a cup that's not even full enough to sustain you. Okay? If you have enough in that cup where you're overflowing and it's falling onto the saucer, you can love people from your saucer and it not affect you. And the reason I use that analogy, even though that's about self-love, is it's the same thing with energy. Okay? If you don't have enough energy to sustain yourself and you're using that energy, you're taking from you, and that's why you get drained. If you have enough energy to where it's overflowing, you're using energy that you don't isn't affecting you because you're already full. So you're using like this overflow of energy. And if you're not at a place where you have that overflow of energy and you use energy to do something, you're depleting yourself even more than you're already depleted.
That's
So
the
in that
first video
case,
I
it's
wanted
like,
to do with you.
huh?
I said that's the first video I wanted to do with you, like staying connected to that reservoir of like
Right,
I call it the reservoir of eternal love. But yeah, pretty much if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. It's already there. So
right, exactly. And it's not taking from you. And that's the most important thing. I don't care if you're talking about love or energy or anything, you know, if you are not full and you're trying to use something, expel something that you are not full with, whether, on any level, um, you're taking from you being depleted already. So of course you're going to have issues. Okay? If you're already full and bubbling over, you can expel a lot of energy or love or whatever it is that you're dealing with, and you're not touching you. So you're going to be good. You're going to be fine. You're and that's where protection comes in. Because a lot of grounding and protection, what it does is it gives you that overflow of energy if you do it correctly. So the
right.
energy that you're working with is not energy you're dependent on. So,
Hmm, cool. Wise words.
yeah.
Um, that's gonna be it. Of course, my phone is very low on energy, and that was that was a great discussion. That was much smoother than the last one. I've been practicing.
Yeah, and I absolutely love doing videos with you. And I am going to share this to my page and I am going to make everybody bug you. I'm going to ask them for subjects that they want us to talk about because I really enjoy doing these videos with you and I really think that our energy's good. I know that you're very busy doing your thing. I'm really busy doing my thing and it's hard for us to connect a lot of times, but I really think that we can really touch on a lot of good things. And if we get everybody involved and, kind of try to get people to suggest subject matters and stuff like that, that they want to see us, kick back and forth, I think that would be amazing. And if we can kind of get on some kind of schedule to throw them out a video every once in a while, I think it would be good. It would be fun. It would be informational and it would kind of be, you know, something that I think everybody would enjoy. So
Definitely, definitely.
definitely. So when you start getting a bunch of PMs from people and bugging you to do videos with me, don't be mad.
Oh, I invite.
Just know you're being just know you're being divinely guided.
I hope. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
Well, it was
everybody
wonderful doing
enjoyed.
this video.
Nobody had any questions. They were just sitting back watching. But I'll probably be going live tomorrow. I don't know, I have a lot going on. But thank you guys again. Thank you for the shares, the likes, the comments. Have a good night, day,
Yeah, and
wherever
if there are any of my viewers, they know I don't read the questions, so that's probably why they are even I'm terrible. I'm so lucky that I have, people that even watch me because you know.
People get so mad too.
Do you have a spell that works on like vision? Because I'm sure a lot of people would vote for getting me, some work on my eyes, eyesight stuff. So I'm blind. That's the
Yeah, it's
problem.
called the lens crafter. The lens crafter spell. Lens crafters. Yeah, pun intended. But great. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.